On February 23rd, 2026, Anthropic published a blog post that exploded across the internet. Its announcement on X racked up 33 million views and 55,000 bookmarks in days. But here's the thing. The story didn't go the way Anthropic expected. They came in as the victim. They left the news cycle defending themselves. In this video, you are going to find out how 3 Chinese AI labs secretly ran an industrial-scale operation to steal the brain of one of the most powerful AI systems in the world. You'll discover the technique that lets you replicate a $200 million AI model for literally $50. You'll understand why the US government is now paying close attention, and why Elon Musk, of all people, delivered the line that made Anthropic go silent. Stay with me, because this story has twists you won't see coming. Let's start with the basics. Claude is Anthropic's AI model, the one behind the chat interface that millions of people use every day. Anthropic is one of the most valuable AI companies on the planet, recently valued at $380 billion after raising $30 billion in its latest funding round. And for the past several months, without anyone knowing, 3 Chinese AI companies were quietly draining Claude's intelligence, one question at a time. The companies are DeepSeek, Moonshot AI, and MiniMax. You may have heard of DeepSeek. Just over a year ago, in January 2025, DeepSeek released a model called R1 that shocked the entire tech world. It performed on par with the best American AI models, and it claimed to cost a fraction of what those models cost to build. The day it launched, NVIDIA lost $589 billion in market value. That was the largest single-company stock drop in U.S. history. $1 trillion evaporated from U.S. tech stocks in a single day. That's how big the DeepSeek moment was. Moonshot AI is a Beijing-based company backed by Alibaba and Tencent, and as of just 2 weeks before this story broke, they were reportedly seeking a valuation of $10 billion in new funding. MiniMax is a Shanghai-based lab that went public on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on January 9th of this year. Their shares doubled on the first day. By mid-February, their market cap had surged to roughly $33 billion. These aren't garage startups. These are serious, well-funded companies, and all 3 of them were allegedly running secret extraction campaigns against Claude. Now, what exactly were they doing? The technique is called distillation. Think of it like this. Imagine you are a student, and your professor is the smartest person in the world. You can't hire them, you can't access their research notes, and you can't afford their fees. But you can ask them thousands of questions and write down every answer they give you. Then you study those answers until you start thinking the way they think. That's distillation. You take a powerful AI, the teacher, flood it with carefully crafted questions, collect the outputs, and use those outputs to train your own smaller, cheaper student model. The student doesn't just learn the answers. It absorbs the reasoning patterns, the problem-solving strategies, the cognitive fingerprint of the teacher. The cost math is what makes this terrifying for AI companies. OpenAI spent an estimated $78 to $200 million training GPT-4. In January 2025, researchers at UC Berkeley replicated comparable reasoning capabilities for $450 in 19 hours. Then, 1 month later, Stanford and University of Washington researchers built something similar in 26 minutes for under $50. That is a cost reduction of roughly 2 million times. Distillation didn't just bend the rules of AI development, it broke them. Now, there's a catch. Distillation is actually a completely legitimate technique when used on your own models. OpenAI literally sells it as a product. They offer developers 2 million free training tokens per day to distill GPT-4o into smaller versions. The line gets crossed when you use the technique on someone else's model without permission, especially when you create thousands of fake accounts to do it at industrial scale, in a country where that model isn't even legally available. Because Claude is not available in China. Anthropic explicitly blocks access for legal, regulatory, and national security reasons. So to get around that, the 3 labs used commercial proxy services, middlemen that resell API access in bulk. These proxies ran what Anthropic calls Hydra cluster architectures, networks of fraudulent accounts distributed across Anthropic's systems, so that when one account gets banned, a new one instantly takes its place. In one case, a single proxy network was managing more than 20,000 fake accounts simultaneously, mixing the distillation traffic with normal customer requests to make detection harder. In total, the three labs generated over 16 million exchanges with Claude through approximately 24,000 fraudulent accounts. Each lab targeted different capabilities. DeepSeek ran the smallest operation, around 150,000 exchanges, but with a disturbing twist. Among their prompts were requests asking Claude to generate censorship-safe alternatives to politically sensitive topics. Questions about dissidents, party leaders, and authoritarianism. They were training their own model to steer conversations away from topics that the Chinese government censors. Anthropic says it was able to trace those accounts to specific named researchers at DeepSeek. Moonshot AI ran over 3.4 million exchanges, targeting Claude's ability to reason through complex tasks, write and debug code, and control computers autonomously. MiniMax ran the biggest operation by far, over 13 million exchanges, focused on agentic coding and tool use. The most dramatic detail, when Anthropic released a new version of Claude, during MiniMax's active campaign, MiniMax pivoted within 24 hours, redirecting nearly half their traffic to the new model. Anthropic caught this in real time, before MiniMax had even released the model they were building. And what did MiniMax build? Their M2.5 model, released on February 12th, just 11 days before Anthropic's disclosure, scored 80.2% on SWE Bench Verified, a standard coding benchmark. Anthropic's best model scores 80.8%. The gap is nearly zero. MiniMax's model runs at roughly 1/60th the cost of Claude to operate. Now, Anthropic's announcement was not just about catching competitors cheating. It was also a political move. The same day Anthropic published their findings, Reuters reported that U.S. officials had found evidence that DeepSeek trained its upcoming model on NVIDIA's Blackwell chips, chips that are explicitly banned from export to China. The Department of Justice had separately identified a smuggling network routing at least $160 million worth of export-controlled NVIDIA chips into China. And Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei has been testifying before Congress, pushing for tighter export controls. His argument? If Chinese labs are using distillation to extract American AI capabilities, then restricting chips alone isn't enough. You have to restrict access to the models themselves. OpenAI had made a nearly identical argument 12 days earlier, sending a memo to the House Select Committee on Strategic Competition with China, warning of ongoing attempts by DeepSeek to distill frontier models. Google disclosed that attackers had fired over 100,000 prompts at their Gemini model attempting to clone it. The coordination between all three American labs was hard to miss. But here is where the story takes its sharpest turn. The internet didn't respond with outrage at China. It responded with laughter at Anthropic. Because just 5 months ago, in September 2025, Anthropic paid $1.5 billion to settle a copyright lawsuit, the largest copyright settlement in U.S. history. They had downloaded over 7 million pirated books from shadow libraries to train Claude without asking a single author for permission. A federal judge ruled, you can't just bless yourself by saying, I have a research purpose, and therefore go take any textbook you want. And just 1 month before the Distillation announcement, music publishers filed a $3 billion lawsuit against Anthropic for mass torrenting over 20,000 copyrighted musical works. Elon Musk posted on X, Anthropic is guilty of stealing training data at massive scale and has had to pay multi-billion-dollar settlements for their theft. This is just a fact. He added that Anthropic was super smug, sanctimonious, and hypocritical. Community notes on Anthropic's viral post added context about the settlement and the ongoing lawsuit. AI researcher Pliny the Liberator posted the defining joke of the week. It's only Claude if it's distilled in the Silicon Valley region of California. The tech community was blunt. The labs that built empires by scraping the internet without consent were now calling for protection of their own outputs. As one analyst put it, both sides have legitimate grievances and illegitimate claims. There are real differences, though. No author ever signed a contract with Anthropic and then systematically circumvented it using 20,000 fake identities. The Chinese labs broke explicit terms of service, operated fraudulently, and specifically targeted safety-critical capabilities. And that last point is where Anthropic's argument gets its most serious edge. When you distill a model, you extract its power, but not its safety training. The guardrails, the refusals, the constitutional AI principles that stop Claude from helping someone build a weapon or run a disinformation campaign, those don't transfer. As one cybersecurity expert told Cyberscoop, the scary part is you can take all of the power and unleash it because you don't have anyone that actually enforces those guardrails on the other side. Anthropic specifically flagged risks around offensive cyber operations, disinformation campaigns, mass surveillance, and bioweapons development. If those stripped models get open-sourced, which Chinese labs routinely do, those capabilities spread beyond any single government's ability to control. So what does all of this actually mean? Distillation has made frontier AI capabilities nearly impossible to monopolize. The cost of replicating a $200 million model has collapsed to under $50 in 2 years. No terms of service can reverse that trajectory. But the manner in which these 3 labs pursued it, with industrial-scale fraud, coordinated deception, and a focus on stripping safety systems, crosses a line that even Distillation's defenders struggle to defend. This story isn't just about 3 companies and 24,000 fake accounts. It's about the central contradiction of modern AI. An industry built on other people's work is now trying to protect its own outputs from the exact same treatment. The rules of this race are being written in real time by engineers, lawyers, policymakers, and apparently also by proxy networks running in the background, one fake account at a time. If this video made you think, please hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And drop a comment below. Do you think what these Chinese labs did was corporate espionage, or just the system working exactly the way American AI companies built it to work? I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for watching.